Welcome, everyone. I'm Michael Friedberg. I am the convener of judges for the YouTube New Zealand Marketing Awards 2024, our cool new naming sponsor. Hey, thank you for joining today. We're going to take you through just a little bit about the awards, some of the changes, but also give you some tips for making sure that you can put your best foot forward when you enter this year. Okay, let's get started. So look, this is all about you guys. So what we do have is the ability for you to ask some questions as we go through. So just take your phone and scan the QR code, or you can go to slido.com and enter that in there. That barcode will also be all throughout the slides. So if you do suddenly think, I need a question, just go. And then at the end, we'll make sure we've got a chance to answer all those questions, because that's where the real value lies if you've got something specific on your mind. Okay. Let's just start with a little bit of a recap. So the awards structure hasn't changed again. There is the Marketing Excellence Awards and there are the Campaign Awards. The Excellence Awards are really around that marketing strategy, driving business results. No change in that. And the Marketing Campaign Awards are more around campaigns that have happened in the last year that have delivered some specific outcomes, linked back to the campaign activity. And then we have the Individual Awards, of which there is a new individual award this year, Brand of the Year. And I'll talk a little bit about that towards the end. So very exciting, lots of opportunity to enter. But what is new? So what we've done is, in thinking about, marketing's constantly going through evolution, what's been going on in the market, what are the best practices inside marketing. And so we've added 3 new categories. You can see them there: best use of content, marketing, campaign, and best use of video. For content, as it indicates, it's about how does content and storytelling and messaging really deliver outcomes for the campaign, and how does it really connect to the audience. And video is in the same vein, except it's all around that use of video. And obviously we're seeing huge shifts now with the third-party data changes. How do we use video to build more long-standing connections and deliver really clear business results? And then we have new Brand of the Year as an individual category. This is exciting. This is about recognizing the brands in our market that has the biggest impact on our community, on the personas and customers that brand serves. And if we think about all the different ways the brand shows up, I think this is a really good indicator of companies that are investing in that long-term growth of their business, and again, the markets they serve. So that's kind of exciting. The up-and-coming marketer is now called Marketer of the Future. Given some of the changes and talk at the moment, we think that's far more applicable, given the rate of change inside marketing. We also moved the retail and e-commerce category from the excellence into the campaign, recognizing that is very much more around a point at time, especially around retail, etc. Also important here, and I'm going to mention this a few times, we've developed the marketing rubrics. These were made available last year to the judges to help the judges work through and provide some consistency and clarity. And this year we're making them available to every one of you. If you're entering, they will be available on the entry portal. And that's a huge leg up, and because you'll get a look and a think about what the judges are looking for in that. Okay, so have a little quick read here. These are the key dates. The 2 important dates I want you to remember is the day after Anzac Day. So you've got all of Anzac Day, the 25th, to work on those entries and get them in on the 26th. And then the awards night on September the 4th. Tickets will become available for those once the finalists announced on the 18th. And of course, sell out last year. So we expect the same again this year. Now, for those of you that are new, haven't entered before, there was a really rigorous process that over 150 judges worked through. So the round 1 is to really ensure, get some consistency. There's some online and some in-room judging. Then those round 1 judges basically go through and select the finalists. If there are any inconsistency in the judging scores, i.e. 3 judges say 9 and 3 judges say 2, then another group will judge that to come out with, are they in or out of the finalists. And then in round 2, the judges get together in person and based on all those that have been put through as finalists to have some very heated and robust discussion about which ones are the winners and why. And that is the outcome of that kind of round 2 judging. So again, we can hand out and say the events team, Marilena, especially, a huge amount of rigor into making sure that like conflicts of interest judges are removed from that. So you can rest assured that that is a very good process that we work through. Okay. Now here's what's, I'd be interested to know how many of you on the call haven't entered before. But I think now that we're getting up over a large number of entries, there's definitely some secret sauce into what makes for, an entry that a judge can understand and judge, and that you've got then your best foot forward. I think marketers sometimes we struggle with. We've got so much to tell, and there's so much that's gone on underneath inside the campaign or the strategy. We have this sort of tendency to really want to get it all out. But we need to think about the entry in terms of telling a story. It has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. And the entry form has been designed that way as well. It starts with what were the objectives and, the outcomes, and then it takes you through to what were the results. And so what I will say is read the entry form and then read it again. And then I would read it again, because it's incredible the amount of entries where the question that has been asked is not the answer that appears to be in the box, because as marketers, we're trying to tell too much. So we need to really think about that. I would really, again, encourage you to look at those rubrics. That's the first time that they are available. They will give you a guide as to what excellent, a 9 or a 10 in each of the entry category, in entry questions looks like. And then it's really about being very clear on what those hero points are. Again, my advice is read the entry form, answer the questions and get as much information as you can down, but then go through what are the really important points inside that answer. If you could only share with the judge 3, what 3 would those be? Those would be the ones that you would potentially lead with. Really be clear on those and really be clear that they answered the question. Once you've got those hero points or a bullet form or whatever that might look like, then you can craft the story so that the judges understand the context around that. The comment there, less is more. You've got judges reading upward of 15, 20 entries. Clarity and focus. How succinctly you can tell the story and answer the questions. There's a real fine line and a balance in there. And obviously, you want to be able to get the right amount of information, but bring the right information to the fore. I'd also suggest you, in the category that you enter, have a think about who your competition will be. You will know who else might be entering. And so therefore you can begin to think about, in this category, if my competitor XYZ were to enter, what are they likely to be saying? What campaigns, what do I know about them? It's a little about doing a competitive analysis as you do a marketing plan. It gives you a bit of context to how might I want to stand out in my entry from the judges. And again, that's a very important piece. And lastly, how do you, we should all get our work reviewed. I think what I've seen here work well is when you get someone review it who's close to the project and can check for the right points and obviously factual, etc., and the results. But then get someone who's completely neutral, who's not in marketing inside the business, get them to review it. And so does it make sense to them? Do they understand it? Can they tell you why it's a winning entry? I think that's really important in here. There's a lot of, every year we get commentary around spelling and grammar. And so, obviously we need to make sure that that is done. Unfortunately, at the end of our long day, an entry that is hard with spelling and grammar doesn't instill a lot of confidence. And now I know with tools like ChatGPT, we can really easily do that sub-edit and just check that or Grammarly or whatever those tools might be. So again, just thinking about ways that you can really make sure that entry is the best that it can be. And I think lastly in here, if you've not entered before, go give it a go. It's a great way to bring your marketing team, bring some of the rest of your organization on that journey with you. I think as marketers, sometimes we don't do the best job of sharing our success and sharing the great things that we do. We tend to just move on to the next thing because then I think we're also pretty humble. But this process allows you to take a step back and go, what have we done and how has that helped the business? And yes, you might just submit it to the Marketing Association, but I'd hope that you might want to share that internally as well. And that does a great job for highlighting some of the awesome ways marketing helps businesses. So that draws us very closely to the end. There's the Slido QR code there. This is the part of the presentation where you've got me. You can ask any questions. I'll be able to answer most of them the best that I can, but this gives you a chance to jumpstart getting ready for a submit an entry. And I'm going to Slido, sorry, having a look. Okay, guys, I'll just keep an eye on here. So if you want to add any, here we go. Here's the first question. Can you enter the same category into more than one category? So the answer is yes, but you need to be careful. You need to make sure that it's purpose fit for the category. And so I would not suggest a copy and paste in there. I would suggest taking the base core of what you were out to achieve in the objectives, but again, tailoring those hero points in the story to the category that you are entering. And the judges are often judging multiple categories. And again, it becomes very obvious if it's just a cut and paste, and it pulls down the value of both your entries in that way. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, there's a question coming in. How will Brand of the Year be judged? So good question. So it is judged in the same way that the individual awards are judged, but based on the entries and the finalists, the Marketing Association will choose a selection of senior CMO and brand leaders in New Zealand that don't have a conflict with the finalists that are being judged. They will judge which ones are through as finalists, and then Mark Ritson, you all know Mark Ritson, he is like Mr. Brand. He will be judging who is the winner in that category, obviously overseen by me, making sure the Marketing Association that it's all inside the process. So again, there's a lot of rigor in that. Great to have Mark being able to judge. Okay, next question. For B2B campaign, how do you have to show direct sales attribution, as sales cycles in business could be 6 to 18 months? Do you have to show direct sales attribution? You need to show that the marketing has delivered business results. So yes, in B2B, the sales cycles can be long, but there should be some indicators of pipeline or demos or conversations that have been delivered by the campaign at that point. If it is really that long, then maybe you need to wait until those sales have landed, so you've got a much stronger story. But again, you can definitely enter and highlight the beginnings of the marketing results aligned to the sales outcomes. I hope that's answered your question. For first-time entrant, how stat heavy do you like entries to be? I think I'm going to assume that means around the results and the actual numbers that are in each entry form. And look, regardless if you're a first-time entry, those results and numbers are really important. So one of the metrics we look at is ROI. The only way that we can assess the outcome from your campaign or strategy is the business results or the results of the campaign. And that's really important because if you want to, ROI is a leveler. So if you are Spark and you've invested $3 million and you have ROI X, it doesn't matter if you are a not-for-profit who invested $10 million and your ROI is Y, because it's all about that, the outcomes from the spend. And so the numbers are really important in there. So it's not about being stat heavy, it's about getting the right information in there, making sure that judges can understand that. Good question. How high is the bar for team of the year? What sort of things are you looking for? Just results or innovations, large campaigns, etc. Okay, that's a really good question. The bar for team of the year is been set really high because of the last 2 years of entries that we've had in there. This is not about, the primary measure here is not about the success, the campaign and business result success of that team. We're looking for how that team collaborates across other parts of the business. We're looking for how that team is perceived by the business. We're looking for signs that the business sees marketing as an investment, not a cost. We're looking for signs that the culture of the organization has a marketing mindset, believes that marketing has a seat at the top table and is a key player in go-to-market, product development, delivering results, winning market share, etc. So it is, the bar is high, but again, if you've got a team that's well respected across your organization, then I think you've got a great story to tell in there. Okay, brilliant. If it's a partnership, sponsorship, does it have to be a dual entry? Would it be more favorable to do so? If it's a partnership, I think you need to go back to does it have to be a dual entry? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by dual entry. You meaning that it could enter both categories? I think I'm going to assume that it is. Would it be more favorable to do? Oh, sorry. No, I'm with you now. You mean, is it a partnership with an agency or is it a partnership with a third party? Absolutely. Does it have to be a dual entry? Could you just add another? I'm not sure what you mean by dual entry. Do you mean in each category? Yeah, so maybe just reload that question and I'll come back to it. If we have used generative AI in our marketing campaign, what aspects are most important to highlight in the entry? Okay, it's kind of topical. I think there's a couple of things in there. One is around ethics and data and privacy, and ensuring that AI that you've used adheres to some of those policies, and you'll see that in the rubric. And I think it's like a tool. If it's just been you've used it to massage some content, then it's probably not worth mentioning because that could have been done by anyone. It's not an integral part. If it's a key part of how you allowed that campaign to scale or to be in market quicker or more cost effective, then that's probably a good use of technology and innovation, and you could show it there. Okay, what type of entries go into the campaign awards? Those are campaigns. So that was that whole category was kind of spun up after COVID, where we saw the need for opportunistic and companies that have very specific 12-month goals around market share or product sales. And so it's tied to business strategy, but it's very much around campaign strategy. So we're looking for a campaign that offset a competitor entering in with a new toothpaste brand in order to regain market share, or a campaign that showed that Pepsi became the #1 drink over the summer, and they used a multi-touch approach. So it's that very kind of campaign, but again, linked back to some sort of marketing problem and business objective. Does what makes a winning award stand out from the rest? I think we have covered that. I think that we've covered that, so that's quite good. And Tara, just reading this. Okay, so just back to the. Sorry, I mean, should we form a combined entry with the organization we sponsor, but should we purely enter it as a marketer? Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying that. So look, absolutely, there's a In the entry form, you can enter what partnerships that you have completed the entry with. You as the client should lead that process, but absolutely it can be combined with the organization that you sponsor or you partner with. So I think that highlights I guess, the team collaboration. And again, you've got another person with another set of expertise that's, helped deliver the outcome, the marketing outcome, but will also be able to help submit the entry with you. So yes, a dual entry, it's not favorable. I don't think it makes a difference. Does it tell the story? Does it make it a more compelling entry for the judges to read? That's brilliant. Okay. Do you need to enter the Excellence Awards to enter the campaign section? No, you don't. So they're completely discreet, and you can enter either or both. Can a campaign entered that is still running during the call for entry stage? So yes. So if, like the B2B question, you're still in that campaign and market and you're still working through some of those results, you can definitely still enter you should still definitely enter an entry along that. What do we need to put into the marketing partners section? So it's a follow-up question to the previous question. That's the name of the agency, the name of the organization that has partnered with you. If it's an agency, it'd be your content or your full service, your strategy or brand. If it's in conjunction with an industry body or not-for-profit, then you would list that there as well. How do you handle confidential information and conflict of interest? So very carefully. And when you enter in your submission, you are asked to highlight any confidential information that is not to be shared, and you highlight that. So typically you might put revenue number or a growth number or a market share number, and that is highlighted so we know not to share that. The judges are under NDA, cannot disclose or share any of this information and conversations. So we take that very seriously. Obviously, we appreciate the fact that the more data and information you provide, it's going to make a better entry. And then in terms of conflict, at the beginning of every judging day, I highlight that if anyone has a conflict when they are given on that morning, but Marilena and myself and Kirsty have already sat down and knowing what we know. So here's financial services. We're not going to put another CMO in that financial services judging group if we know that CMO's got an entry in there as well. So all of that's handled before we set the judging tables and allocate the entries. And then on the day, we ask to make sure there's no more conflicts. And actually, judges are really good at saying, I need to stand away from this one. I've got a conflict for whatever reason. So that's good. Okay. Where can we find the details of the AI rubric that I mentioned? So the rubrics are in the portal, the awards entry portal. There you will see the rubric for each of the categories. So you can download that. Inside that rubric, there was a comment at the bottom about data privacy and adhering to best practice from an ethical consideration perspective in terms of how you use AI. So you'll see that written there. Can you submit an entry you have entered in a previous year? Absolutely. But many of the judges are returning judges, and so they'll remember those entries. So the entry should have evolved. There should be more results. There should be some slightly different outcomes. There might have been some learnings from the year before. So absolutely, it makes sense to continue to build on that story, but there needs to be something just a little bit different. If not, still not the end of the world, but judges who remember that may go, what is new? What's new here? And again, that's not an ideal comment from a judge. Next question, the images we have to submit, what are they used for? So they're used for the judges to have a look at creative and supporting information. That is not something, the judges are using that to support, the questions, support the answers that you have provided, but it's not what the judges will focus on. It's about how did that help deliver the results that you've highlighted in the campaign in particular. Okay, is there a multiple entry pricing? If you enter more than once, yes, I believe that it is multiple entries. And so you can, hold on, I'm just quickly checking. Yes, I believe there is. So that's a good thing. Can I edit the entry after submission? You can't edit the entry after submission via the portal, but if you email us, Events at Marketing, Marilena, then they will consider and look into that with you, obviously in a way that is fair and equitable for everybody. So ideally, that would be within the first 12 hours of submission, not once judging has started, obviously. And then can we use ChatGPT to help with the submission? Absolutely, you can to check your spelling and grammar, but beware. We all know that ChatGPT loves to use flowery language and lots of big adjectives, so that will be spotted a mile out. You should use it with caution, like you would probably not let an intern write your entry without checking it. ChatGPT is exactly the same. Okay, it was a good run of questions. I think that is. Are there any other questions? I don't seem to see any up here. Then I think that is going to be a wrap. This is recorded and will be made available on LinkedIn, and it'll be made available on the entry portal as well, so that you can come back and reference that at a further date. So as I said, guys, this is a great opportunity to put marketing's best foot forward. Have some fun while you're doing it. Good luck. I'm really looking forward to see some of the awesome work that marketing and you guys do and over the last year. So thank you for joining. I hope you found that informative.